What if I told you even I was guilty of falling for charlatans? In 2016, I was interested in running an online business and creating a community centered around helping people reach their fitness goals. During this time, I got entrenched in the internet marketing community, bought products, and attended an event or two.
Anyways, guys, welcome to the event. We've got Grant Cardone in the house. Woo! Woo! We've got Ty Lopez in the house. You might want to follow his Snapchat. Yeah, woo! Here at my event. We also have Com Mirza today. Woo!
One of those events was Alex Becker's 10 Pillars to Wealth, where I saw Alex, Ty Lopez, and Grant Cardone speak. But I also saw a speech from Com Mirza, the $500 million man. This was years before I would become the man tasked with taking down the internet marketers. Looking back, I was so impressionable on these income and wealth numbers and didn't even think about verifying. And that's what scares me about 2020. Thankfully, I didn't get caught up in one of these schemes that led to empty wallets, but I was close. This experience helped give me insight into how these people run their business, and hopefully it will help you avoid any financial hardships. Who is Com Mirza, this mystery investor who is worth $500 million? He is the founder of Mirza Holdings based in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, with claims of equity ownership in companies within many different industries around the world. His LinkedIn also lists Com as the founder of multiple other companies. Today's Authentic or Charlatan is actually different. Com has already been found to be a fraud. He ran a pyramid scheme which led to his arrest in October, and he's currently being investigated for fraud and taking money from people illegally. It sounds like he's going to be inside a jail cell for a long time. Basically, Com, his brother Rocky, and other family members would continually start new businesses and hype their success. Claiming huge income and valuation numbers for each company, they would get investors to send them more money. Com eventually created a real estate-backed cryptocurrency labeled Habibi Coin. The Ponzi scheme got exposed and investors were left with empty wallets. Someone had to pay for Com's exotic sports cars, world travel, and luxury taste for restaurants and fine dining. Com Mirza had over 800,000 followers on Instagram, was a speaker at many events around the world, and lived a high-status lifestyle through his social media. He was branded as the $500 million man everywhere he went. Everyone recognized him as a business expert. I figured this episode would serve as a good case study of reverse engineering how these internet marketers could turn out to be frauds. We know Com is a fraud, but let's pretend like we don't know. Let's go through the red flags and see if we can pick up on any similarities with current potential fraudsters. Com claimed to be an investor in many companies, and his Mirza Holdings company had equity ownership in companies in many industries. But if you listen to all of his interviews, all of his speeches, and anytime someone asks him a question about business, he always answers with something vague and broad.
You had an 8-figure exit on one of your companies, but you also said it took forever and a day and you lost money along the way. And most people wouldn't have the patience.
Yeah, I think, when you go into anything, go into it with an exit strategy in mind. Figure out what it is that, I tell people a lot of times, if I go to the gym and I want the perfect body, it's never gonna happen. But if I go to lose 10 pounds, I can kill myself for that 10 pounds. I can discipline myself, I can sacrifice, I can do a lot of things for that 10 pounds, and I'll achieve that goal. So go into something with an exit in mind. If you're going in to, create a company, or you're going in to make some money, or, do it with, I'm trying to make $20 million so that I can invest it to live this quality of life, or to donate the money, or to whatever it is. So have an exit strategy in mind, and then when you do have an exit strategy in mind and you go into it, never give up until you achieve it, and
there is never anything concrete. If he actually had ownership in companies, they would be explicitly listed somewhere. Let's use Chris Sacca as an example. He is the real deal and can be found in interviews and podcasts. If you visit his LinkedIn, he states a few companies that his venture capital firm invested in. If you then visit his website, you will see the complete list of companies he has invested in, including the exits and who bought out the companies he held equity ownership. That's transparency, and that's a guy who's actually an investor. Listen to his interviews and he'll provide concrete stories of his experiences. For Com to not list anything specific anywhere is a huge red flag to me. To the viewers out there, I hope you have the opportunity to meet someone who has a net worth of over $50 million so you can see how real they are compared with these internet marketers who claim insane wealth. People who have a net worth of 50 million and more have reached the top percent of the top percent of wealth earned in human history. They are absolute experts in their field, have run a successful business and probably have exited, and likely invested their money really well over a long time period. I'm not talking about 500 million, I'm talking about 50 million. Just to earn that alone puts you at the absolute top. I hope you understand just how difficult it is to attain a net worth of $50 million. And if you speak to these people, they can speak for days on their industry with concrete evidence of their expertise. When you listen to podcasts with some of these internet marketers, they sound like they're the audiobook version of any self-help bestseller where everything is vague, mindset-driven, and nothing concrete about the actual running of a business. Com always seemed to be available for a podcast appearance. This podcast appearance specifically is on a channel with 258 subscribers. There is a 0% chance that anyone who is running an actual multi-million-dollar business, let alone someone worth $500 million, has any time for anyone on a podcast. It's rare to see business owners whose business doesn't center around social media to be on podcasts, especially podcasts with 258 subscribers and view counts in the hundreds. Whenever a guest always resorts to speaking about mindset, that means they have nothing to talk about. I'm still in the beginning stages of real estate investing, and I can talk for hours about deals completed, strategies, difficulties with running a business, successes, failures, partnerships, sales. You get the picture. Why can I speak for hours? Because I'm actually in the game running an actual business. I've made some money and I've lost some money. That's what really running a business is like. Keep this in mind whenever you start following people and you feel like every podcast resorts to the same questions from the interviewer, the same answers about mindset from the guests, and you feel like there is no talk about the actual running of a business. Here's an example. Listen to Dean Graziosi in an interview. You can listen for hours and never feel like he's running an actual business. You feel like he's just a pitch man for a sales funnel for his new book or digital product. If you feel like you're listening to a self-help mindset book when listening to an interview, turn it off. The only exception to this is Gary Vaynerchuk. A very common bias is called authority bias, which is the tendency to attribute greater accuracy to the opinion of an authority figure, unrelated to its content, and be more influenced by that opinion. With social media becoming so popular in society, it's common for us to look at people with large followings and attribute fake authority onto them. This is the case with Com as well. He had reached over 800,000 followers on Instagram before his arrest. Everyone saw him as a business expert, a business success, and someone they would like to become. Little did his followers know he is a complete fraud and all of his success was from conning people out of their money. Keep this in mind when you're trying to figure out whether to learn from certain social media celebrities and you let their follower numbers dictate your thought. It's hardwired within us to respect and place a higher value on social proof. Having high social media follower counts is absolutely tied with having high social value, which is currently the #1 form of social proof. Judge someone based on their character, their proof of knowledge, their proof of success, and their transparency way before you even look at how many followers they have. Keep in mind that followers, views, subscribers can all be purchased and inflated by bots. Com Mirza ran a popular mastermind called the Billion Dollar Mastermind group. I hope by now you're starting to see that red flags should be popping up in your mind whenever you start seeing insane wealth numbers being thrown around. I'm looking at you, Dan Pena. What's funny is these marketers will brand themselves as the $500 million man, which means they somehow earned multiple hundreds of millions of dollars in a 10 or 20 year stretch, but somehow the last 10 years they haven't gained anything. I'm looking at you, Ed Milet. Masterminds are insanely valuable, but if the only thing popping up for someone is a mastermind that they run, make sure to spend a significant amount of time researching them, hearing referrals or testimonials that aren't on the subject's website because those are nearly always fake or paid for, and then not signing up because I personally never would. Meet people locally and befriend them. This is the best form of masterminds or mentorship. These mentors should ideally be one step ahead of you, as those people will help provide the best mentorship. If you start looking up Com on Google, you'll see that nearly every reference to him includes the branding of $500 million man. There's no tangible evidence of any of his companies, and the only real link other than his social media is his blog. You'll notice this about a lot of social media celebrities. They run huge businesses, but somehow everything on Google sends you to their Facebook, Instagram, or website. I'm looking at you, Dan Locke. Even what you would consider as reputable sources are vulnerable to these fraudsters. TEDx speeches are paid for by the speaker. This is how people like Dan Locke, Tai Lopez, and Com Mirza all of a sudden appear on TED as if it's a huge honor. This experience allows them to use the branding for all future sales copy. One little inside secret, a lot of these news sources can be paid for their stamp of approval. There are numerous news publications like Huffington Post, Entrepreneur, and many others you have heard of and probably visit often that make their money from ads. They outsource their content creation to freelance writers, and they also will write articles about you if you pay a small fee. They're just content farms where the business model is the more content, the better. This is how some of these fraudsters have like 10 reputable news organizations in their as featured sections on their website. They typically didn't earn that from their reputation. After studying Com, I think I'm going to start labeling myself as the $100 million man in hopes of landing on large podcasts and news networks. I would appreciate it if you start referring to me as Sifu Spencer, the $100 million man.